Hi, Mystery Recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain an action thriller movie called Next. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The movie opens in Vegas, where a man named Cris Johnson is sitting in a local diner. He sees a vision in which a beautiful woman walks through the diner's door. Cris has been visiting this place for the past several days, waiting for the woman to appear in real life. However, just like all the other days, she does not arrive. Cris then leaves the establishment exactly 9 minutes past 8 a.m. The scene shifts and we get a more detailed look into the life of Cris Johnson. He works as a magician in a Las Vegas club under the stage name Frank Cadillac. This movie's a sequel to Leaving Las Vegas if he never stopped drinking. But Cris is not your normal magician, as he has the natural ability of seeing 2 minutes into the future. Using his gift, Cris performs various tricks on stage and makes an okay living. This powerful ability has pulled the attention of FBI agent Callie Ferris, who has been keenly observing Cris for the past few days. However, the gig of a stage magician doesn't bring in a lot of money. Cris supplements his income by making small bets in local casinos. He narrates that he isn't a god, the one true god, and can only see 2 minutes into his own future. There is one exception to this. He has been seeing visions from the far future, and it involves the woman from the cafe. One night while gambling, 2 staff from the casino's security team begin to suspect foul play. They think Cris is manipulating the deck and observe him through a CCTV camera. They are discussing him in the security room when Cris suddenly looks directly at the camera as if sensing their thoughts. He then tries to cash out his chips and leave, but this is when he foresees a robber shooting the cashier as well as a cop. Cris appears to be a good guy, so he immediately springs into action and disarms the man before the robbery even starts. Seconds later, 2 guards arrive at the spot and demand Cris drop the gun. He tries to explain what happened, but is eventually forced to flee. This triggers a chase through the casino floor. Since Cris can see the future, he calmly moves around in ways that cause the guards to completely overlook him. He then reaches outside the casino and steals a car, because don't forget, he's a good guy. Shortly afterwards, Agent Callie reviews the footage of Cris escaping and shows it to a senior officer, but the latter says he's too busy because a group of French terrorists have landed in the US with a stolen Russian nuclear bomb. It is then revealed that Callie, who has a vague idea about Chris's abilities, wants to use him to locate this bomb before it's too late. Her senior isn't convinced. Magic is bullshit. But he gives her 5 days to catch the magician. Later, Callie meets with Royale, the head of security at the casino, and asks him a few questions. Royale recalls how Cris eerily looked at them through the camera, as if he seemed to know what was about to happen. This seemingly confirms Callie's suspicions, and she is now determined to catch him. Royale also adds that the car Cris stole had a tracker underneath its bonnet. Casinos often use such trackers so that their customers' cars don't get lost. In the meantime, Cris arrives at a garage owned by his friend, Ives, and the two talk about how to hide the car from police. After a while, Cris checks his watch and senses that Callie is on her way. Ives urges him to run, but Cris decides to stay and hear what she has to say. When Callie finally arrives, she tells him about a nuclear bomb being smuggled into the US. She now wants him to look into the future and help stop the possible calamity. In response, Cris insists that his abilities are just part of a magic act, but the FBI agent doesn't believe him. She then brings up the stolen car and threatens him with prison time. At this moment, a large number of armed cops rush into the garage to arrest him.
Admit it, Cage. You can see the future, can't you?
The scene abruptly shifts, and it is revealed that this event hasn't actually happened yet. Cris had seen this vision of the future in his mind, so he escapes before the police even arrive. When Callie doesn't get there in reality, she misses him by mere seconds. Back in the casino's parking lot, 2 French terrorists torture Royale to extract info about Cris. It is obvious that the magician is wanted by both the people who are bringing the bomb to the US, as well as the people who are trying to stop it. I'm sorry, I gotta get a hold of myself.
Everyone wants my powers.
The following day, Cris is back at the cafe in his usual time. The clock strikes 9 minutes past 8, and to his surprise, the woman he has been seeing in his visions finally arrives. He is eager to know her and begins to calculate the future scenarios in which he approaches her. Cris tries 3 different ways in his mind, but each time she refuses to have any conversation with him. As he prepares for a 4th attempt, a man named Kendall enters the cafe and approaches the woman. It is revealed that her name is Liz, and he is her ex-boyfriend. Kendall then grabs her hand, and the ex-couple immediately begin to have an argument, but Cris uses his ability to see how he can manipulate the situation and talk to Liz. Shortly afterwards, he approaches Kendall and deliberately causes a fight.
Piss off, jabroni.
He then takes a hit to the face and drops to the floor. This prompts a horrified Liz to tell her ex-boyfriend to leave. Once the two are alone, Liz helps Cris up, and they finally begin talking. He mentions that he's supposed to be in the nearby town of Flagstaff, but lost his car. Liz, who is headed in the same direction, offers him a ride. Hours later, Callie and her partner visit the cafe and question the staff for information. A waitress who had heard Cris and Liz talking reveals that they are headed for Flagstaff. Elsewhere, the duo arrives in the Grand Canyon, where Liz teaches kids from an indigenous tribe once a week. The children curiously ask if Cris is her boyfriend, but she assures him that he's not. His hair is a bird. Why would I? However, it is obvious from her expressions that the two are slowly falling for each other. Slowly? That evening, their journey towards Flagstaff is interrupted when a section of the highway is blocked off for repair. This forces them to take a detour and spend the night in a nearby motel. Meanwhile, the FBI are closing in on them, having tracked down their location. The authorities have also narrowed down the location of the nuclear bomb to Southern California with 95% certainty. Callie, who is determined to secure Chris's help in finding the nuke, orders a squad to capture him. But the French mob who transported the bomb also decide to follow the FBI agents. Back at the motel, Cris gives Liz a rose after she gets out of the shower.
For you, my dear.
He compliments her beauty, and the duo eventually get into bed together. After a while, he wakes up suddenly with his eyes wide open. Cris keeps staring at the ceiling as if he has been flung into a vision from the distant future.
Oh no, in 2 seconds I'd not.
The following morning, the FBI watches on as Liz leaves the motel room to get some groceries. Callie intercepts her and tells her to get into a cop car, but unbeknownst to them, the members of the French mob are watching this from a distance. Inside the car, Liz is shown footage of Cris stopping the armed robber in the casino, but Callie frames it in a way that makes Cris look like the villain. She explains that he is a delusional sociopath who needs to be arrested as soon as possible. The FBI agent then hands Liz a drug to put in his drink, explaining that it will make him fall asleep in 5 minutes, but she is instructed to administer it 2 minutes after she greets Cris. Following this, Liz returns and finds her lover coming out of the bathroom. She suggests he freshen up while she prepares breakfast. On a nearby hill, the French mob sniper is ready to shoot Cris if he gets a clear shot. 2 minutes pass by and Liz puts the drug in a glass of orange juice. However, just as Cris is about to drink it, she breaks down and confesses everything to him. This shocks our hero, but he comes up with a brilliant plan and switches his drink with one that isn't drugged. He then steps out onto the balcony and drinks the juice. The mob sniper can't get a clear shot, while the FBI mistakenly believes he has only 5 minutes before falling unconscious. Next, Cris returns indoors and reveals that he had foreseen the man in the casino killing 2 people. Liz thinks he's delusional, so he flips through TV channels, accurately quoting what people are going to say way before it happens.
Flava Flav.
He then explains that he can even see 2 minutes into the future, but only events that affect him. Overwhelmed, Liz asks what the FBI wants from him. Cris explains that it's related to national security, but his ability to see only 2 minutes ahead isn't useful to them. He then hands Liz $10,000 in an envelope so that she can use it while he is gone for the time being. He also writes instructions on a piece of paper and wants her to wait exactly 45 seconds before following them. Nearby, Callie senses something is wrong and rushes out from the FBI spying truck. She grabs a pair of binoculars and spots Cris leaving the motel. He checks his watch and then, all of a sudden, begins rolling down a nearby cliff. Several FBI agents give chase while the French mob tries to shoot Cris, but the magician manages to dodge everyone thanks to his future-seeing abilities. Back at the motel, Liz follows Chris's instructions and gets into her car. She puts a nearby rock on the accelerator and jumps out before the car drives off the cliff. A metal chain attached to the vehicle then triggers an avalanche of heavy objects to fall down the slope. This forces the FBI agents to take cover immediately, but Cris dodges everything and keeps running until he comes face to face with Callie at the base of the cliff. Just as the falling debris is about to crush the FBI agent, Cris grabs and protects her. On the other hand, as Liz is walking away from the motel, the mob finds and abducts her. Things are equally bad for Cris as he is taken back to the FBI headquarters headquarters, he is restrained and forced to watch the news, with Callie urging him to extend his 2-minute vision as far as possible to locate the nuclear bomb. However, instead of seeing the bomb, Cris foresees Liz being blown to smithereens on top of a parking garage. Devastated, he refuses to tell Callie what he saw, knowing the FBI will keep him imprisoned indefinitely. He is soon taken to a cell where he asks for a cigarette, but at an opportune moment, he knocks out the guards and escapes. In the aftermath, the FBI chases him through the streets, and Cris eventually reaches a multi-level parking garage. This place is similar to the one he saw in his vision a few minutes ago. He climbs the stairs while Callie instructs other agents to stay below as she follows him up. When they reach the roof, Callie asks what he saw earlier, and he eventually reveals that the mob plans to execute Liz on this very roof in 2 hours' time. This shocks Callie, and she warns him that Liz is being used as bait to lure him into a trap. Cris knows about this too, so the duo agrees to cooperate in order to tackle the mob. Soon afterwards, Cris steps out onto the roof, and the mob's sniper shoots from a nearby rooftop. Cris pretends to be dead, just as an FBI helicopter tracks the sniper's location and kills him. Following this, Cris concentrates and envisions the future events right before Liz is blown up. He sees that she will be carried to this parking lot in a white van. He then successfully picks up the van's license plate and relays it to Callie. With this information, the FBI quickly locates the vehicle at a nearby shipyard. Cris helps the team devise a plan, telling them exactly what to do to minimize unnecessary casualties at the shipyard. In the meantime, Liz is forced into the van that Cris had seen earlier. The mob is preparing to leave with her when suddenly, several FBI agents storm the facility, overwhelming the thugs. The white van tries to escape, but Cris tells Callie the precise moment to shoot it so as to ensure it rolls over without exploding, because seeing the future helps him figure out aerodynamics and physics and shit. Once the van comes to a halt, Liz manages to escape and runs into a nearby building. On the other hand, Cris assists the FBI in taking out snipers as they move toward the same building. However, Liz is recaptured and used as a human shield by the kidnappers. They then drag her into a large cargo ship with the FBI agents hot on their heels. To locate Liz and her captors in the vast cargo ship, Cris begins exploring different future scenarios. He effectively splits himself into various possibilities to search every corner at once. Eventually, he sees where Liz is being held, and the FBI team moves in. They quickly reach her, but the kidnapper threatens to shoot her if anyone even tries to come close. Cris, who has seen endless versions of the future, rushes towards the scene. The kidnapper decides to take his chances and fires several rounds at Cris. However, the latter dodges every bullet with his extraordinary ability. The kidnapper has now run out of bullets, and Callie uses this moment to shoot him before he can set off the bomb. In the aftermath of this skirmish, Cris tries to reassure Liz by telling her it's all over. Callie, however, informs them that it isn't. The nuclear bomb has been relocated, and they must find its new location immediately. It is then that Cris looks at a monitor, which is tracking detonations in the area. Suddenly, he sees a vision of the future and realizes that something is wrong. Callie asks what he sees, but Cris only says, "I made a mistake." At that moment, the nuclear bomb detonates and wipes out everything in its path. The scene then shifts abruptly as Cris wakes up wide-eyed in a motel on the way to Flagstaff. He is lying in bed with Liz at his side, and the FBI spying on him from nearby, and he just nutted. It is then revealed that all the events from Liz leaving to get groceries to the bomb's detonation were simply a version of the future that Cris had seen. He was actually trying to see what he should do to save both Liz and the world from the bomb going off. Soon, he gets up and calls Callie, agreeing to help her on the condition that Liz be kept safely away. He then wakes Liz and tells her that there's something important he has to do. After promising to return, he meets up with Callie, and the duo starts discussing how the bomb should be located. But what happens next is not part of the movie, I guess. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.